wars, which is like a concept that Jim created for like situations in the world that are part of the product. So currency wars happen, they cause all these disruptions. You can take advantage of it in the currency markets by using the impact system. So it's like that's all the pieces and parts of like how the product works, and just it's two different mechanisms. And you can have multiple stories too. So these things are not just one, but we'll get into like how you express them in the copy. You don't want to have too many because it can get really complicated, and simplicity is the best approach. So there's reasons why the copywriters made the choices of having more than one mechanism. The last set of elements that we'll talk about are what I'm calling like the problem or the villain, depending on how you want to express it. And this kind of goes back to questions earlier about like how you understand the avatar, and that's really what you need to do is crawl in there and find out like what is the conversation happening inside your avatar's head, like what keeps them up at night. Like Dan Candy likes to quote how he knows exactly what his prospect is thinking in 3 different times. He knows exactly what they're thinking when they're up at night, sitting at the kitchen table, wide awake, and the spouse comes down and makes coffee because whoever it is can't sleep because they have a massive problem in their life. He also has an understanding of what people think of them, what they tell themselves when they drive to their job or their business, and what they think of when they're coming home from a cocktail party. So digging into that's how you actually have a problem, because you have to have a problem for your product to solve in order to have an effective offer, in order to have an effective big idea. So impact system, what was the problem we're trying to solve for the reader is the fact that these currency wars were going to cause all the shit that happened in the financial world. So getting the system and understanding how it works was a way to not only protect yourself from the fallout of currency wars, but actually you can make a lot of money doing it. So like Canadian Social Security, the problem being solved was that people want to either supplement their income from Social Security or protect it if it ever runs out of money. So you really need to understand the villain in the story. And I use the word villain because, again, I'm just reframing problem to make it sound a lot more compelling. It doesn't actually have to be a human being. It could just be a concept. For example, in the End of America one, you can see the villain is really like a crisis that's coming. And it's like the word is End of America, not even in the sales letter End of America, which is interesting. But he's just talking about this terrible crisis where the US dollar is going to cease to be the reserve currency of the world and basically implode our economic system. That's, like you can see it on there, like it's the villain is the crisis. That's the bad guy in the story. So you really need, like the only way you can get that is by talking to your prospect and really knowing what keeps them up at night and their biggest fears and like what their biggest problem is that what you have is actually going to solve for them. And if you want, you can even make it like a real person. Like there's been sales letters where you can identify, like it used to be kind of a common thing in old financial publishing packages where it's like Wall Street, or Washington D.C. It's like, or President Obama is coming after take your money. So it's like, it's like you can actually make it a person. It could be an institution, but it could just be like a problem. I mean, the villain really in the copy badass offer was the old way of copywriting is dead. And you can see like there's not people on there. It's just like old books are outdated. So that's another element that you're going to want to have as part of your big idea. It's like, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And like, who's the villain in the story? And again, it doesn't have to be a person or a group of people. It can be. It's very powerful to scapegoat people or groups of people. It's been done a lot in history, but it can just be a concept or a situation, or in this case, it's just like a mindset that you have to go to the old copywriting books to really learn the secrets of copywriting, when really they're pretty good, but for the most part, they're outdated because they're written for a different time and place. So does all that make sense as far as like for a villain or a problem? You just put yes in the chat or put a question in there.
Okay. Looks like a lot of yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you guys are aware, like, I think one of the easiest ways to grasp the idea of the villain, especially as a person, is like, I remember a couple years ago, Justin Goff telling me that all the people who sold to conservatives, all they had to do to get their audience's attention was just say the word Obama. And immediately every conservative would get pissed off, like, what's he up to now? And they have to read it. And then everyone selling to Democrats, all they had to say now is Trump. And every liberal goes, what's he up to now? And it's because it's the villain, right? And a lot of times it's the villain or the enemy that actually will grab more attention than the hero. Like talking to a conservative, they might be more interested now in hearing what the liberal media is trying to do to bash Trump more than just hearing what Trump's doing right now. Like, because one's more of a threat, so it's going to get high priority in their brain.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as like the mirror opposite in some ways of the promise too, because it's like it meets another emotional need people have, which is to triumph over our foes and triumph over problems. So it's not enough that you can, have clean water, but you can have clean water to stick it to Obama. Or I don't know, there's not a lot of, I can't think of any offers that Democrats have written really using Trump, but like it'd be like, shorting the stock market because Trump's going to crash it, so you can stick it to Trump and get rich. So I mean, it's it somewhat connects to the idea of a promise. And also, you know, like the promise should at least cover the problem, but ideally it goes way beyond it. That's what a promise of balls is that it exceeds the problem by huge multiples and isn't just going to fix their problem, but it's going to change their life. That's the kind of level of promise you're looking to get.
Yep. And just like so everyone's clear, like just look at what Ryan said, like the difference between you're going to short stocks and make a bunch of money to a Democrat versus you're going to short stocks based on what Trump's doing. So you're going to make money and you're going to stick it to him at the same time. Like think about the emotional impact comparing those two promises. The first one is nothing. The second one is like everything, right? Because all these different components, the proof, the mechanism, the villain, the story, all those stuff they're all being synergized kind of symbiotically together here.
So hopefully that gives you a sense of like what you're going to do for a sales detective. You're going to look from the world, you're going to study the product, you're going to study the prospect, the avatar, and then you're going to get out, you know, your magnifying glass here and get your sales detective badge, and you're going to hunt down stories, proof, promises, mechanisms, problems, and villains. And, you know, that's really what your homework assignment is for next session is look at your prospect, look at your product, look at the world. If you don't have one, maybe we can talk in a few minutes like what to do to still get an effective use out of this. I would say just make one up or think of a product you want to invent. Just to give you a quick secret on that, there's been a huge amount of success in the direct response world of people that write the copy before they even have the product. So in fact, that's a real secret if you don't have a product, is write the sales letter and then make the product fit the sales letter, so the other way around. So don't let that hinder you. You can still think of like what kind of product you might want to do, but really dig into your avatar and his head, and at the same time, look for those 5 different elements and maybe just start cataloging as many as you can. Because we're going to talk about next session is like how you put those together in the blender, hit blend, and come out with a powerful, compelling, big idea. And hopefully you can just see right there what I just did there with a metaphor and a mechanism and a promise.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
And one thing I do, I'll show you guys here. Move this over. I think Zoom has a whiteboard. I can draw this shit. And yeah, they do. So like one thing I do a lot of times when I'm doing research, you guys know I use my iPad a lot and I draw on there a lot, is I'll just go like imagine that, and then I have one over here, and I like mind mapping a lot. So like there's all of them, but like this would be, let's say this was proof, and here it was stories, and then here let's say it was villains. I'll just give you guys an example. Like as I'm researching, every time I find something that's good, I'll just come back here and I'll add like whatever that thing is. I'll make a note about what was that piece of proof I just found that was good, and then I'll just keep researching. And then by the time I'm done, I've got all these stories, I got all these possible villains, I got all these promises that I've seen other competitors make that the market seems to like. I've got all these forms of proof. I don't know what they're proving. I don't know like my promise, my claim is yet, but I got lots of proof for different stuff. And this is going to be the raw ingredients that you're going to put in the blender next week.
Yeah, and we'll talk about like how you mix and connect. But that, just to give you a quick spoiler, what's going to come is like a lot of that's just connecting all those things, the most compelling elements that you found in a unique way that people are just going to get. And you'll be able to verbally pitch it like what would happen if you were able to discover Canadian Social Security, and like they'll say, well, it's Canadian Social Security, and you'll say, well, you probably never heard this before, but Canada has this program that Americans can piggyback on that can pay you monthly checks. I mean, but you have to have the research first to actually know what to look for, and that's really the whole purpose of what we did today. Do we pick any type niche for our research? Well, it should be whatever connects to the niche you want to get into, right? I mean, some of the stuff too, like it might even just solve your problem if you don't have a product, because if you can really figure out all these elements, then how do you fulfill that? That's the product you should make. Yeah, that's a good drawing. I like it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm actually leaving copywriting. I've decided to.
It's a whole other career, right?
Yeah. Well, and I don't even know, we want everyone to have a complete promo done by the time this course is over. That's the goal, right? So that's what you guys are doing. It'd be like teaching you guys is one thing, but making you guys actually do the work is where the lessons are going to get embedded and become a part of you. So if you don't know what product you're going to be writing for yet, then I think the first thing you do the minute this class is over is you decide which product you're going to be writing for. So maybe if you're a freelancer, then maybe you think about, who do I want to be writing for? What offers do they sell? And maybe I'll write them a sales letter. That's a really good way to get in with them. Maybe you have a product you considered selling for yourself sometime in the future. You can write the sales letter for it now. As Ryan said, it's better oftentimes to write the letter first before the product is made. So there's a lot of ways that you can do it. And if you absolutely cannot figure out any product to sell at all, then just pick a product that Agora Financial sells or a product that I sell, and you can write a letter for us, right? That wouldn't be the worst thing. So blatant self-promotion there, but that wouldn't be the worst thing for you to do either. So yeah. The other thing, by the way, if you're a freelancer, maybe the product you're going to write for, as Ryan talked about in the Copy Badass class, is yourself. So you're going to work on a badass promo to sell yourself to clients to hire you to do their copy for them, right? If you guys want to go freelance, I think that'd be a really, really smart thing to do here as well.
Yeah. In fact, that's a great way to get clients if you're a freelancer, is just to offer them, it's called on spec, to come up with a big idea and maybe it's the first 5 pages of a lead, which we'll get to. Maybe it's a whole complete sales letter, and just go to the client and say, hey, like, what do you think of this? And if they like it, they might just give you money for it, and or at least maybe they'll test it and give you a percentage or something, and there you go, you got a client. And like, it's a risk people don't want to do sometimes, because it's like, why would I do work for free for somebody? But you're really not doing work for free. I mean, you're really doing work for yourself and acquiring someone that can pay you a lot of money. So it's called spec work, if you're curious how that works. How are we gonna learn how to negotiate those kind of deals? I'll tell you right now, those are deals. I mean, it's like you say, how much would you give me for this, for the sales letter to own it? And that's how you negotiate it. And like what I would ask for always is a percentage of it, anywhere from 1 to 5%. But it's all negotiable. If someone really likes the copy, like because another thing too, someone might be worried like they'll steal it. They won't steal it, because what they want is somebody that can produce copy over and over for them. So no one's gonna steal it if you offer anything else back. If they do, it's going to get around, and you can be let it known, and it's going to destroy that person's business, because no one's going to want to work for them anymore. So I wouldn't worry about that, because really what people that really, the best kind of clients you have if you're a freelancer or if you're going to work for somebody in-house are people that want to pay you over and over and over for big ideas, and aren't just going to steal one idea just to get some sort of short-term gain.
Yep. Exactly.
Any other questions about what we talked about today? Elements or research or avatars? It's the basic formatting of a sales letter. We're going to create something we can have available to us. Yes, we're going to go over how to put together the structure and format of the sales letter later in the program. Hopefully it's gotten clear so far that like that's not really as important as the big idea, or even the expression of the big idea and the headline of the lead. But we will give you, in fact, we're going to show you something called copyboarding, which is a really easy way to create a structure.
Yeah.
A structure. Another thing too is that's one thing you get from your swipe file. If you start breaking out and outlining things in your swipe file, and that'll give you pre-made templates of structures you can use in your sales letters.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how to look for proof for dating advice niche. Any tips? Who is the prospect? What are you selling? Is there a unique mechanism to help somebody get dates? Do you have stories of how you've gotten dates? Do you have stories of people that have used sort of secret, unique mechanism to get dates? Let's see.
Yeah, like Tom, in that question, like you're looking for all sorts of proof. There was an article, by the way, you could probably still use this. And this is in the research phase. Years ago, I found this article that it said they were trying to come up with a female Viagra. And the news article, the headline was, "This could threaten the entire fabric of our society." So imagine every woman walking around with the equivalent of a hard-on because she took Viagra. And, she's got to take care of it somehow, right? And really, the idea in the article was like, to threaten the entire fabric of our society because no women will get any more work done because they'll always be in the bedroom, right? Like, there's an idea there, but there's also proof there, right? That's just the research. This is like the gathering phase, right? And if you're thinking about all this stuff, and I'm going to get all this research stuff, and you're like, okay, so I get it, like, it's very, very clear what kind of research I'm looking for, promises and proofs and villains and mechanisms and stories, but it seems very like abstract. Like there's all this stuff everywhere. How am I going to channel all this badassery into a piece of copy that's going to convert some motherfucker and make them buy? If that's what you're feeling, that's where you're supposed to be right now. You should feel like you're treading in like 10-foot water, and you're just kind of keep treading till next week. That's kind of what we want you to do.